So you can only hunt those gobblers or the smaller male turkey called jakes. Those are 1-year-old birds. So you can't shoot a female during the hunting season. Now, there is a 1-week season at the beginning of November in some parts of the state that allow you to hunt the hens for just five days. So it's a very short season. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, you can come to my backyard and shoot all the turkey you want because they come to my bird feeder. Well, I got to tell you, folks, when I hear that, I want you to know that that's really not what a hunter wants to do. A hunter, in my opinion, a good hunter is not one who sits out in the back porch waiting for the turkey, come to the bird feeder, and then shoot them with a shotgun. It's really not the ethical way to go about it. The greatest thing about hunting is preparing, is learning about your animal that you're hunting, is coming out in the woods and spending time and getting to know where the animal lives, and then going out and finding the animal, harvesting the animal, and enjoying the animal as a meal with the family. And the turkey tastes pretty good. I'll tell you, the wild turkey does taste great. So that's just a little bit of information for you on the hunting. And don't forget, the most important thing about the birds is they were virtually extinct from this state of Massachusetts from 1850 to 1970. So about 120 years, there were virtually 0 turkeys running around in New England. And then in 1970, the Mass Wildlife put together a plan where they trapped some birds from the state park in upstate New York, and they released them throughout Massachusetts, starting in the western part and then slowly making their way to the eastern part of Massachusetts. Now there's a healthy population of turkey, and they're a great bird. One of the most amazing things about them is when you are hunting them and you are in the woods and you're trying to find the turkey, when you do see one, and if you're on the ground camouflaged and they don't see you when they're coming at you, you realize how big those creatures are. It's amazing because you forget that they are birds, and they fly pretty well. Every night they'll go up into a tree and they'll roost, and that keeps them away from the coyotes that are hunting at night for them and the other animals that will hunt. So they roost in the trees at night and they come back down. And I was fortunate enough to be hunting for one of these turkey last week, and when I heard some commotion behind me, and I looked up and I saw this gigantic bird flying and getting ready to land almost directly on top of me. And it was amazing because the bird flew right about here, and I saw the look in his eyes when he realized that he was landing on a human. And it was not, and he was able to pick himself up and fly down a little bit longer and crash into the woods and take off. And I did not have a shot at that bird, but that experience made the morning for me. And actually I went home without taking a bird that day, but I'll never forget the look of a turkey right here flying, and he looking straight at me. We're looking eye to eye, and the look that he had in his face of just, oh my God, I picked the wrong place to land. It was unbelievable. So anyway, let's move on. So I hope you enjoyed this part of the show and learned a little bit about the great eastern wild turkey. It really is a fascinating bird. If you notice, my boys aren't here with me today. That's because they're at some other little brook in town chasing the wonderful white sucker. You know it's springtime when you see the Ripley boys running with their nets down the stream chasing these great fish. I'll tell you, nothing makes me more happy than watching my kids have fun in the outdoors. I think it's very important for kids to get out there and spend their time in nature, in their own backyards, and get away from those Game Boys and PlayStations and Wiis and everything else. Oh, I tell you, it's great that my boys are able to walk that stream and find those fish and have a good time together. Those are memories that will last a lifetime. So we started off today's show talking about turkey hunting in the spring. The kids walking down the creek looking for the white suckers. And now as we get into midsummer, I'm going to show you how to catch bass with a plastic worm and a rod and a hook. Okay, it's pretty easy. You don't have to have the float tube, although it's pretty nice to have this. Water's a little chilly at first, and you know, you got to keep an eye out for those snapping turtles that might be interested in this round shape and come challenge me to a fight, which I'm not really up for right now, as they're, you know, my legs are exposed underneath. I've had some interesting encounters with snapping turtles over the years in these ponds throughout Massachusetts. Most of the time they come up and they're very curious, but one time I did have a snapping turtle come in and came in full attack mode. But that's for another time. All right, so the name of the game here is to, I'm using a plastic worm. Nice plastic worm you can buy at any store. You know, Bass Pro Shops has a great selection. The Gamakatsu hook. The Gamakatsu hook is incredibly sharp. It's a great hook. And I got my little Building 19 fishing rod here with my Shimano fishing reel. So that's the setup. It's interesting that the Shimano is a Japanese company. The worms that I'm using here, Yamamoto is a Japanese company, and the hooks are Gamakatsu, which is a Japanese company. The Japanese are revolutionizing the sport of bass fishing right now at the higher levels. And it's a real interesting history. During World War II, many of the American soldiers would fish in some of the freshwater lakes and ponds in Japan. And of course, Japan's an island, so they have a rich history of fishing in the ocean. But the Japanese were amazed to watch. Oh, I can see a fish right there. Oh, he's hold on. No, he saw me first. That's interesting. The Japanese were amazed when they would observe the American soldiers catching fish from the freshwater impoundments and then releasing them. They'd never seen anything like it. And they started, you know, trying out the sport and have become fantastic at it. So on a high level, on the pro circuit and the Bassmaster circuit and things like that, the Japanese are doing very well. Their hooks, the Gamakatsu hooks, are incredibly sharp, and they've got numerous amounts of fishing lures, Yozuri lures, and all kinds of other great options for fishing, for bass fishing, and saltwater fishing, for any type of fishing for that matter. So the Japanese have done quite the remarkable job in the fishing world.